How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another edition of athleteshubpod podcast. It's end of the season. I'm here with Flexx as always. How's it going, Flexx?
All good, my man. All good.
Yeah, nice one. We've also got Papa joining us today on the podcast. How's it going, bro?
I'm all good, bro. Thanks for the invite, man.
No worries. Good to have you back on the podcast. So as I mentioned in the intro, guys, it's the last game of the season today. We're just watching the games this afternoon. And as always, we're going to do a bit of a post-season roundup and look at, some of the biggest talking points this season. And obviously today, I think we've got to start with, Arsenal being champions. I know that this happened last week, but obviously me and you, Flexx, we've had, a lot of roundups over the season discussing Arsenal's potential chances of winning the Premier League. And after 22 years, they've finally gotten over that line, right? And, a lot of people, we had a conversation before we came on air and we was talking about Arsenal being uninspiring champions, which has been sort of the tag over the last few months. And I don't know, I think, listen, I look at Arsenal, I look at them over 38 games this season, clearly been the best team over 38 games. They've got a real togetherness, they're stubborn, very good defensively, and obviously take advantage of set pieces quite well and just get the job done, really. And I think, if we're honest about it, we look at it fairly, right? I think Arsenal are obviously a standout team and deserve to win it. So what's your thoughts on Arsenal season, Flexx?
I wouldn't say they're uninspiring champions because to do what they've done, I think it's something we haven't seen since the days of Jose Mourinho in his first season. So as a Chelsea fan, I would say job well done. And they've done it in a way that I guess teams or people that prefer flair type of football and whatnot, they just didn't do it in that way. And for me, a win's a win, a title's a title. And they done it in a way that I guess, there'll be a lot of rule changes going on for next season, innit? You know what I mean? But hey, winners are winners and winner stays on. So well done to the Arsenal.
How about you, Pepper? How do you look at Arsenal's season?
They are, in fact, uninspiring. However, they are deserving champions. They won the most games. They lost the least. The stats are facts. It's there. I didn't particularly enjoy their style of football. But they've done well to, get over that sort of mental barrier that was blocking them from becoming champions. I did say just before we started recording that if they win the Champions League, which I'm sincerely, desperately hoping that they don't, then there's the truth. I'm not going to lie about it. Then I think it just adds to the validation that this is a team that will be remembered 20 years from now. But yeah, I think they're a deserving title winners for sure. And they didn't play all that bad. They did what they had to do, but there were some times when they did play some good football and dominated teams. I just think it's just a little bit different from the last few seasons. So that's probably what.
I think you look at Arsenal and there was times this season where we generally thought, obviously Flexx, we spoke about weeks, and thinking when it got to potentially the time when they played City and they lost that game, we're thinking, okay, it's neck and neck now. Maybe this is the time they're actually going to be a bit shaky and not go over the line. But to their credit, they held their own, man. They won the games that they had to win. And I think probably, like you mentioned, Pepper, they weren't necessarily playing great football, right? But we've criticised Arsenal in the past of having great football under Arsene Wenger, but not really having that stubbornness, that steel, that determination. The Flexx compared it to Jose Mourinho teams, where they had that backbone, where they had great players going forward, but as a team, as a unit, right, they had this togetherness, which was very, very hard to break down. And I think Arteta's credit, he's built an environment which is more a case of it's us against everyone else, and we don't care what people think about us. There's a real togetherness in that team and that squad. I think Arteta's really come and he's really changed the mentality of Arsenal Football Club, because Arsenal were happy to compete at the start. They were happy to be in the Champions League. They were happy to compete. But now he's setting an expectation now when they have to win games. And as you mentioned, Pepper, if they win the Champions League as well, then they're part of that club now, man. We can't go back to these fans and tell them, listen, you've not won the Champions League. They're part of that club and they deserve to be there. And Arteta deserves a huge amount of credit for that. And sometimes, as a football club as well, it shows you that if you're patient with managers, that sometimes you can reap the rewards of that.
I want to touch on that point. You're right. I feel like just on the last point you said that if clubs can wait, and I'm pretty sure I've spoken to Flexx about this in the past, where I feel like clubs of the finance fans and social media, it all plays a part. Essentially, you're not clubs ain't giving managers 3 years now just to get things right. 8 months in, 6 months in, and they're going to get the sack. Just a complete lack of impatience, which is such a shame. So yeah, Arteta definitely reaped the benefits of having very patient owners who saw a long-term plan, and that's quite unique of them. And it created a real family vibe. They even entrusted him. I always thought him and Edu, the sports director, were actually like this. And then obviously that it got a bit shaky, and they were like, we'll give, Arteta kind of took over the reins and became manager, not just head coach. So there was a lot of trust placed into him. And I also feel like even with the football, the Man City game, that's why they paid that £100 million for Declan Rice. Because they highlighted him saying it's not done. But when I watched that match, it was swinging back and forth. Arsenal were really holding their own. Eze had one shot that hit the post and then spun across the line. And Arsenal played to their strengths, where they had City nervous at corners and everything like that, and had them shaky for a minute. So I do feel like maybe now that they've got past this line, maybe the hope would be, even as a hater, the hope would be that they would take off the handbrakes and then they would play football. They now got the confidence. They've been there now. So they're going to be a bit more expansive, a bit more expressive in certain matches, but also be cute in certain matches where they know they need to know how to get across the line. Basically finding that balance. They found it this season where they basically tied up, defensively, but releasing their attack, because their attackers are actually very good attackers. But Arteta's system doesn't allow them to express themselves as much. Very Pep-esque to some degree. So, let's wait and see. But well done, Arsenal, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Arteta's I think he's more about performance and results rather than individual performances. I think he wants to create a unit, just like Pep's done.
He's done well with it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what about Flexx? Do you think that Arsenal now, they've won the league this season? Do you think they're going to be the team to beat next year? Do you think they're going to kick on that purpose and be more expansive and potentially win another Premier League next season back to back?
I mean, momentum's always with the champions, right? But then now you've got a target on your back. So from going to be the hunter, you're now the hunted. And so, things could be very different. And maybe from a mentality perspective, it's different now when you're the prey and everyone else has now got their darts out, on the hunt. United have secured Carrick and his future at the club. Looks like they've got their strategy in place for what they want to do and so on. So that's going to be interesting to see how, they join the pack of hunters going forward. Chelsea have got Alonso, and now to be playing probably just one game a week as well. So we'll see how that works out. Tottenham have got De Zerbi, survived relegation. Let's see what they do over there. Aston Villa have kicked on quite heavily. So let's see so there's loads of factors, around, the Premier League going into next season. Also the World Cup, what players come back? How do they come back? When do they fit back into the squad from when this pre-season? All of these different things. So I don't even know what the Premier League will look like for next season. I think it might start off quite slow for some of the bigger teams that might have more players that have gone away to the World Cup and so on. We've also got Man City with Enzo Maresca potentially being the manager. What does that look like? So it's massive. I mean, for me, I feel like Arsenal just need to carry on doing what they've done. It ain't broken, don't fix it. So just keep doing what you do. It's for everyone else to figure out how they can get ahead of you. You're the leader of the pack. And I think, to be fair, Arsenal do start the table at number 1, 2. So they've got to just carry on. But that's
I don't know if you mentioned Xabi Alonso is coming in for Chelsea.
That's right.
I don't know if you mentioned that.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that, don't worry.
But it's, you said, the hunters become the hunted. There's a reason why Alex Ferguson and Pep are quite unique. Klopp wasn't able to do it, even though he maintained a high level. So Arne Slot wasn't able to do it. Even Mourinho, had he been given the chance to, probably could have got a few more titles in succession. And maybe competed with Man United, those 3 titles they won between 06 and 09, had he not been sacked. But Arteta's going to find that being on top, getting to the top and then staying on top is very, very difficult. Arteta and Arsenal are going to find out. So you are right about the hunter becoming the hunted, and all these teams are obviously strengthening in certain areas. World Cup year is a little bit funny because players obviously put on a show, but they don't always turn out to be the best. I think back to like Patrick Berger, Karol Poborski from the Euro '96, and they came to England. They didn't really show. They were rotation players really. Berger was okay, but didn't really pull up any trees. So we'll see how the summer transfer window unfolds. PSRP or PRP or whatever it's called is going to have a major impact on how teams are able to spend. So yeah, let's just wait and see what happens on that one.
Yeah, interesting to see. I mean, obviously the title race was concluded before today's game, but one thing that wasn't concluded was the relegation battle. Obviously, Tottenham and West Ham were the two teams involved in that. And yeah, West Ham have been relegated to Championship now, despite a 3-0 win against Leeds. That wasn't enough because obviously Tottenham won against Everton at home. And yeah, listen, Flex, we've spoken about West Ham all season. You know, when Graham Potter got sacked, we did an episode on that with Jay as well at the time. And you know, it feels as if I think them winning today, it's not come down to today. I think West Ham have been poor all season, even before they scored their goals today. You know, they didn't really do enough. I don't think they didn't really push hard enough, and it kind of summed up their season. But I think for over the 38 games this season, West Ham have just not been great at all. And I actually found it surprising that Nuno has been there since September. It feels like he's been there not as long for some reason. Yeah, because Potter got sacked in September and he took over straight away, and he's been there for that amount of time.
Oh, yeah, they were struggling at the beginning.
Yeah, and obviously Potter left because it wasn't quite working out for him. But no, yeah, I think West Ham get relegated. So I always thought they'll stay up. I always had this hope and this kind of belief that they showed a backbone. Tottenham all over the place. But I think the losses against Newcastle, particularly recently, and also Brentford away, those were the damaging defeats. I know they lost to Arsenal, but I think the Newcastle game away was the one that really wasn't great at all. And you know, it's not just Arsenal result, which obviously people were an outrage over because of the VAR decision. But for the whole course of the season, West Ham have just not been great. And I think, yeah, the relegation probably is a wake-up call for the football club, to be honest. What do you guys think?
I feel like, in fairness, I know it's more recent, but going to Newcastle and Brentford in the form they are, very difficult places to go to at that stage of the season. I was always concerned, and I just had a feeling that the favours that be from God above would definitely shine on Tottenham. They just weren't going down, man. You just know it's like something's going to happen that Tottenham are not going down. This is an Leeds United situation.
But let's be clear. Everton today did them no favours. Everton were poor today. They didn't.
And you know what's funny? Everton have been in this situation themselves a couple of times in the 90s and the noughties, where they're such a big club and they were almost on the brink of going on relegation. But, you know, the fortune gods are just like, nah, we're not letting them go. I just knew that Tottenham somehow would work out in their way. It doesn't mean that they're any better. Trust me, they've been very poor. Everyone to a man have been poor. The managers, the coaching, the players. They keep talking about this injury list. They need to actually sack their medical team because that injury is just always growing. They always like to blame it on them. But when them players are there, they weren't doing anything anyway. So it's a shame. It's a shame for West Ham as well. But you are right. This started a long time ago. The seeds were sown. Early, and even I forgot, you are right. Nuno was there from the get-go, and he started off poorly trying to get them together. Yeah. But I trust Nuno, and I think they should stick with him. He's a very, very good manager. I
don't think he'll be there though. I think he's promoted Wolves in the past, but I can't see him being at West Ham. I think that's a different rebuild.
Where does he go? Where does he go?
He'll get a job. He's a good manager. He'll get a job somewhere else. I don't think he'll get
realistically. Where do you think he would go? Give me 3 teams that you think will take him, based on if they're looking to sack them.
Well, I think if Marco Silva leaves Fulham, I think Nuno will be a candidate to go there. He's Portuguese as well. That could be a potential fit. He could go somewhere in Europe potentially, not just Premier League clubs. Maybe somewhere in Europe will take him. He'll get takers. I don't think he'll be out of options. I think he's.
No, you're right. You saying that just made me realize that.
If you look at the Wolves comparison, right? You know, in that team, he had a great team. He had, you know, Jota was a part of that team. Coutinho, it was a Portuguese spine, and he got them promoted quite comfortably. But this West Ham team needs a whole new rebuild because I feel like you've got players like Bowen, he won't be there. Souček will probably leave. Will Juve be there? We're not quite sure. Somerville. There's a lot of question marks still. Do you know what I mean? So I think the rebuild is a bit different.
Do you think Wan-Bissaka will be there? He's on a 7-year
contract. I think so. I mean, he's still a decent player.
7 years, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I think Carl Walker-Peters will still be there. I mean, he's
he's a championship player.
So I mean, I think West Ham. I don't know. Do you guys think they'll come straight back up again?
No, it's gonna be. You can't say.
Right. Over there, so it's hard. It's hard to call because when you can go down there. Down there's the doldrums, man. I'm telling you, it's it's different down there, man. I'm telling
Yo,
you, like
it's a dogfight, man.
it is. It's literally,
True,
man.
true,
It's a
You
tough
see
one.
that whole
because-
city coming through. Like, where did you even come from? Oh, they're just coming through.
Mate.
By the way, the right team won on that one, but yeah, we'll move on to that.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
no, you're right.
It's crazy. It's crazy, man. I mean, look, Bowen's probably gonna have to be gone because wages, whatever, and he's too good to be there in the championship. Thomas Souček is another one who is good enough to not play in the championship.
Yeah,
Wan-Bissaka, like you guys mentioned, another one. They got this Fernandes guy who I hear some of the bigger clubs are looking at, so he's
good, yeah.
way. Wilson, they wanted him gone anyway, so I think he'll be off their books at some point. And who are Somerville, like you guys mentioned, that's another player.
Yeah.
You got the Mavropanoses, and
I think they've still got a Disassi, but that's a loan from Chelsea.
that's a
isn't it?
loan. So that's what that is. So they'll
What
lose
about
their
the striker, the Argentinian striker, Constantelos or something like that.
No, he's gone.
He's gone.
Gone.
So they're losing a lot of players. So
Yeah.
they got a different kind of rebuild. They'll have two rebuilds. They'll have a rebuild for the championship, and then they'll have to rebuild to stay in the Prem. So like, if they can make it on the first time, of asking. So it's a tough.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I think, Papa. That's why I don't think Nuno will be there, because I think the characteristics of the team are just different now. I think they need, if they get someone like a Scott Parker, who's got a great record of promoting teams, Bournemouth, Burnley, Fulham as well.
That makes
They could
sense.
come up first time, right? Because he's got a great record of going to the championship. Like Flexx said, it's literally, it's do or die down there. So you need someone like Scott Parker, who's played for West Ham before, who's that type of character, who knows what it takes to get teams promoted first time. They need that type of character. And then, as Flexx said, when they come up again, then that's a different rebuild at that point, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think Nuno will be. I just feel as if he'll have too many decent offers to stay at West Ham, to be honest.
Yeah, I can see your point on that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So it remains to be seen what happens there. But let's move on to Bruno Fernandes, who was a history maker today. And the Man United won 3-0 at Brighton. A really great performance today. And Fernandes became the first player in Premier League history to get 21 assists in a single season. And recently crowned player of the season as well, a Football Writers player of the season. This has been, from individual standpoint for Fernandes, it's probably been one of his best seasons at a football club. And it just shows you what a great player he is. And I know that people have criticised his leadership skills, and perhaps people say he's too selfish at times. But if you look at his tenure at Man United, right, he's helped the team. At times, he's actually carried the team on his back for what he's done for United. And you just kind of think, if he was playing in a better team, I do feel like people don't give him the credit, number one, because I think he plays for Man United and people don't like United. They don't like him, so I don't give him the credit. And secondly, because the team he plays in hasn't won the Premier League. Henry's won the Premier League, De Bruyne's won the Premier League. But that should also tell you what a great job Fernandes has done. To win that award and to become a history maker, get 21 assists in a supposedly poor football team, that shows you what a great individual Fernandes has been. And I think this summer actually, because there was talk about Fernandes maybe going to Saudi, I think maybe last season, and he turned down the offer. I think this time the club have got to kind of back Fernandes, and they've got to really bring in players and build a team around him to help him win major trophies, because I think he deserves that. I think for 6 years at a football club, he's been through the ups and downs. He's never really injured. He's always available, never shies away. It's time the club now actually really backed Fernandes and brought in players and a structure to get this guy to win major trophies, because I think he deserves that. What do you think, Papa?
I mean, Captain Fantastic, man. His story is very reminiscent of Brian Robson, who was Captain Marvel for us and got us through like the doldrums when we weren't winning trophies and stuff like that. And then it was only at the back end of his career when we won it in like 93, 94. The first title, 92, 93, 93, 94. He was like a veteran at that time. He was like 34. And so he wasn't a major part of the team, but he was, quite key. We remember him for carrying us through. That was his legend, really. Thankfully, he got a couple of Premier League titles to show for it. And unfortunately, I feel like that's going to happen with Bruno because of age and timing. His geniusness, or how he's pronounced the word, his unique way of playing football, his stats, his goals, that has kept this club afloat. That, you know what I mean? His legacy is under. It's like Zico for Brazil that never won the World Cup. Fantastic player, deserved to win a World Cup. People always remember Zico, like the best Brazilian team to never win the World Cup. And I hope Fernandes doesn't fall into that. He's still in his prime. I think he's 29, going to be 30 soon. So if we can win a Premier League title within the next couple of years, I would be absolutely happy about that. I do agree that we as a club need to now do something.
He's actually 31, you know.
31. Time is running out, man. Eventually the legs will catch up. He you know, up to 32, they can still be fantastic. But in the Premier League, to maintain that level, as you've seen, Kane has gone to Germany, and it's not as intense there, and that's why he's able to maintain those great levels. His legs might eventually.
I think one thing though, I think sometimes, I know you mentioned age there, but I feel like the older you get, some players who reach the maybe mid sort of early to mid 30s, they still can have a great impact. It just depends on how much they do within the team. Because if you look at Bruno Fernandes, he runs everywhere, like he's non-stop.
Yeah,
sometimes you've got to kind of reserve your energy. Maybe like what Pirlo does, for instance. You know, he had Marquisio, he had Vidal as well.
Yeah,
Pogba, so he didn't have to do too much running. You know, and he still, when he gets the ball, he knows what to do, knows where to play it. Exactly, but Fernandes is everywhere. He runs channels, he drops deep, he goes forward, he advances. So maybe he might have to reserve his energy and maybe be a bit more intelligent with maybe his runs and his possession. So I think that might be what he's got to do there. But I mean, Flexx, when you look at Fernandes, how would you sum him up?
Hey, man, I'll say he's definitely player of the season, you know, considering what he's had to deal with from the start of the season, you know, with playing in a deeper role, which is not his favored position, still doing the business from there, might I add. Then you've got the pressure of, you know, this is Man United and everything is not really working, but to still be shining in the midst of this rubbish that, you know, he's been put in the midst of, and then be captain, mate, like he's done very well, very, very well. And so kudos to him. Like you mentioned, for me, I've always said the Premier League is not fun if Man United are not in the race for stuff. That's where it gets interesting. So hopefully they're able to spend wisely, bring in the necessary players to shape the team. I feel like you guys need the right back because Dallo is just not it. You know, yeah, he's just not that. You might need another centre back more for the future. You know, Heaven is there and whatnot, but you need more of a good kind of centre back who you know is going to be there for the long haul, and then maybe another left back because Luke Shaw, I think he was doing good because it's World Cup year, and then now he's not selected. I think he's going to go back to just breaking down because there's nothing to play for at this point. So with that, then maybe I would say your forward line is great, but then you might want to get another bagsman, you know, just to strengthen the bench, because that's the one place you guys lack is the bench ain't the best. You know, back in the day, the Alex Ferguson era, there was just killers on the bench. It was actually terrifying to think that he subbed off someone and the person coming on is actually just as good or better than the person coming off. That's worrying. You guys
also remember that back in those days, we played with two up front, right? So you had the Rooney and Tevez, you had the Rooney, Van Persie, Van Nistelrooy was there. Whereas everyone plays with a single striker now, so you haven't really got this more like for like now, as opposed to partnerships.
Well, I mean, they've got to figure that out, man. I mean, at the end of the day, some of the bigger clubs, they've kind of clocked that. You know, like PSG, they've clocked that. You know, Arsenal, their forward line, it don't matter who they put their defensive midfielder up front, and he was scoring like insane amount of goals. The Moreno guy, you know what I mean? So you kind of got to figure it out. But otherwise, Bruno, bringing it back down to him, he's just magical. And people say he spams like his passing and through balls and whatnot. I personally don't have a problem with it. I feel like if you're going to do that, one or two of them is going to come off. And that's what actually happens. You know, one or two of them passes are going to get through and someone's going to score. And so, yeah, he's done his thing. Well done. I feel like they should give him a renewal for taking the piss about Saudi, trying to flog man off over there. They should give him boosting his pay packet and whatnot, show him some love. And yeah, man, let's see what man.
We need to flog. We need to flog Ruben Amorim, but that's a conversation for another day, bro. Let me get me started on that. But what was I going to say about you mentioned when you were talking about the teams, about what we need as you were going through the team? We need some wingers, man. I'm watching this Man United team, and we actually kind of lacked some pace. Dorgu today was fantastic. Dorgu Bell, that's what I called him because he's the second coming, bro. I'm putting it down there. I'm just saying it now. That guy is going to be a problem. Hey, I've shouted it. Here we go. Let the comments come in. I've said what I've said. I do. Well, he's not going to be Bell. I know that for a fact. But it's good that he's obviously improving since he's come, confidence-wise, definitely. And we need more players with that sort of pace. Someone to challenge Ahmad, because Ahmad's standards have dropped a little bit, but I still trust the guy. You know, it's okay. It's normal. He went through a lot as well, so I think people forget that he's a human. And yeah, we need some players all over the place. I just think the award for Fernandes just highlights actually that there was no real individual standout individual for the Arsenal team. I'm sorry to bring it back to them, but it's the truth. But as a unit, they did really well. But what it also gives me a bit of faith is the people that are making the judgments, the writers and the PFA and obviously the Premier League. It shows that it's not just stats that they're using, but their eyes as well. Because yes, Bruno does like 6 or 7 risky passes, but he generally influences the game. As you see as a number 10, he's tracking back. He'll be on the right wing. He can be a wide midfielder. He can play second striker. He's fantastic. So as I said, Captain Fantastic, man, he deserves the award. And hopefully he can be consistent and have a really great season next season. Because I do think that league is up for grabs next season as well, especially with Pep dropping off.
Would you say that attackers are favored, or there's a bias to attackers in comparison to defenders? Because I would say the likes of Gabriel Magalhaes has had a fantastic season. He's had a phenomenal season.
I do agree. Yes, Gabriel and Saliba have been fantastic together. Well, Gabriel in particular, because Saliba was.
Yeah, you could. I think you could say that, but I think in the past, I think didn't Nemanja Vidic win the Player of the Season twice?
No, he won it. I think he won it for United as the club, but not. Or was it the league? I don't know.
I think it was a league. It was a league. Yeah, I think 2010-11 he won it.
In fairness, the bias is against goalkeepers because David Raya, in my opinion, has been fantastic. Some of the saves. Listen, and they've in the pundits when I'm listening to them, they'll make an excuse like I might watch the overlap, for example, or something, and they'll kind of say something that takes it away from Raya. I'm like, that was a fantastic save. Like Arteta's decision to take Ramsey, who's a popular person around the place, 100%. Has proved justified, and Raya has not. I think he's only made one mistake, and I don't even think it led to a goal.
There was the one against Wolves.
It might have been that one.
That's the only one I can vividly remember where it's like, that's a big mistake. But otherwise...
Well, listen, the Spanish manager tried to say that Raya wasn't even his third choice goalkeeper, basically. And he was trying to say that the goalkeeper they got now, and I think it might be the Barca, I can't remember what team he plays for, was, he's the level. And I'm thinking, nah. Raya is fantastic, man. Like, honestly, if there is one individual player that I wouldn't have argued with, and I said, right, these guys are actually doing their job, it's David Raya. Because that goalkeeper, he's a special goalkeeper, man. He's brilliant. The saves, I'm talking about that. Some of the saves that this guy made in the Man City game, for example, even though they eventually lost.
West Ham.
Whew. Yeah.
Big saves.
Brilliant goalkeeper, man. He is on top form at the moment. And maybe next season is when he gets recognized if they're able to do back-to-back.
He's been doing that since playing for Brentford.
I didn't even see him at Brentford. So when Arteta bought him, I was like, oh, okay.
I clocked him from Football Manager, the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when I got to know of, man. You know what I'm saying? And so then marrying it to like Brentford and then him going to Arsenal, for me, it was no surprise because the game is pretty good at predicting, these type of players. Eventually get, you know what I mean? But again, we can speak to the cows come home about how defensive players, how well they've played throughout the course of the season. I mean, even Lemens should get a mention. He's come in first season. Do you get what I mean? Done.
Still needs some improvements, but yeah, he's been safe.
Solid job for his first season, right?
He's young as well,
and he's very.
It's like Lemens. It shows you how good he's been because we've not really mentioned him at all, and that's how he's just done his job. Whereas the previous goalkeeper was quite erratic, so it's like Lemens coming in and just doing his job right.
You're being kind.
It's been a big difference, but yeah, I think Lemens deserves a. Do you know what, Amber? I know you mentioned Amber, but I think you've got to give him a bit of credit because he signed Lemens. He signed.
No. Let's stop you there, sorry, Richard. Amorim wanted Martinez. Jason Wilcox and them guys overrode him.
He would have been a very good goalkeeper as well. I think Martinez would have been.
Martinez can be mistake prone as well. Like he's good, but he has it in him. Trust me. He's just that erratic Argentinian guy, man. I just know about Martinez ain't the guy. Trust me. Of his age as well. Maybe if this was 5-6 years ago, Absolutely, because he was fantastic for Arsenal then. He went to Aston Villa. It seemed like a sideways move. But actually, he's going to be one of those... he's a great goalkeeper. He's a World Cup winner. You see what he does in high-pressure moments. I'm not denying that.
He's a cult
hero.
hero.
At the time that we were going to get him, it wasn't quite Van der Sar-esque, like we're signing this player and he's going to be the guy. I think getting Lemens was actually the better option, for sure.
But to be fair, when you guys signed Van der Sar, nobody thought that he was going to be the man. Because Van der Sar was coming from Fulham, right?
Yeah.
Nobody. He had a great career up until that point. He played for Holland. He had Juventus.
He was great for Fulham as well.
It wasn't like you signed this great goalkeeper. I don't recall anyone being hyped about Van der Sar being.
But you know what it was? Upgrade on the ones before. There was upgrade on Howard and Bartes at the time.
Exactly.
Upgrade on that.
No. But you didn't know that it was a clear upgrade because he was coming from Fulham. It's not like
I did. I just didn't voice it.
Or it was coming from Madrid and we signed Iker Casillas. Oh, look, he's going to be a great goalkeeper for us. It wasn't that. He's a steady pair of hands, but you didn't know that until he played for United and had
really quality. Yeah,
that's my point. We didn't know this until he was actually there and had the. We're talking in hindsight. Oh, look how great he was! But when he was signed, nobody knew how good he would be or how good he actually is because he's got a great defense in front of him now. He actually has to do less, and when he's called upon, he's fantastic. But we didn't know this.
No, that's true. And it could have been the same for Martinez, but I am glad that we've got someone in Lemens who's actually shown himself to be quite mature already and has many, many years in front of him. Who knows? He could be our David Neuer, whatever his name, the Bayern
the Neuer guy from Bayern.
And he's very erratic these days. People don't talk about it, but he makes some hell of mistakes, man.
In the Champions League, I realized, I was like, man, he's fallen off.
But you equalized that with some of the saves he was making was brilliant, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Fallen off, man. He definitely
has. They've signed him to another year contract, so I'm just like, it's floaty at this moment.
I think it's mentorship. I think that's what he's there for now.
Yeah, there's no goalkeeper behind him at the moment, so it probably makes sense. But anyway, yeah. I'm glad.
All right, cool. Let's move on to Chelsea. Chelsea lost today 2-1 to Sunderland, which leaves them with a 10th place finish. I mean, Alonso's been confirmed a new coach. Flexx, how you feeling about his appointment?
Yeah, I mean, before we get to the appointment, we'll talk about today's loss, right? And it was a strategic loss. It was a strategic loss. We wanted to follow in the steps of Man United and play one game a week.
The world champions want to play one game a week.
Yes, sir. We wanted to follow in your footsteps. We've seen how beneficial it could be to just play one game a week and to rebuild the squad with a new manager without having to fly to Dagestan. You know what I mean? So it's one of those strategic things where it's just like, you know what? Let's just do that and keep it moving. Alonso, me personally, he's got a lot of work to do, man. And if they don't back this boy, I don't ever think it's been. I'll say something KB has said before. It's never been the managers. It's been the guys up top. We had a good manager. He wanted a centre back. They said, "See you later." You know what I mean?
The rest was brilliant, bro.
This is what I'm saying. So it's never been the managers. It's just been a bunch of guys who are used to dealing with other sports, trying to, make a name for themselves in football, and it's not going the way it should do. Now, they've given this man the title of manager, so maybe he has more say-so as to what happens in the club, transfers, this, that, and whatever. Maybe, but we're left to find out, right? So we'll see.
I think they've learned their lesson. I think they've realized that, okay, we can't just keep doing this. And I don't even think they were a hire and fire bunch. Maybe the Maresca situation, there was some stuff going on in the background. Maresca seems like a tough character. But when Maresca was there, I started to see an identity with Chelsea.
Yep.
I really did. I was like, okay, yeah, I can see this guy. They're doing things. But the Chelsea fact, like, they need to be a better control of the fan base, man. They have their say, yes, but I feel they're quite influential these days, and they get impatient quickly, basically, and that costs managers their job. Like Alonso.
I think one thing I'll say, I think you look at Chelsea. I think if you look at this regime's appointments, right? They signed, was it Graham Potter, Maresca? I think they've gone for someone in Alonso who's probably one of the most sought after young managers in the world right now, and was great at Bayer Leverkusen. He won the league quite convincingly.
He was actually well at Madrid.
Yeah, but I think at Madrid, he was a coach, and I think Flexx made a point. He's a manager at Chelsea. So at Madrid, he probably had a lot of ego to deal with in the dressing room. I know he fell out with Mbappe and Vinicius at the time as well. But maybe Chelsea need that type of character to come into the football club and shake things up, because right now Chelsea are a successful football club, but at the same time, you look at their managerial appointments, Rosenior, Graham Potter, it feels as if maybe they weren't the right fit. I mean, they were good young managers, but as you mentioned, Papa, there's no patience in football now. So if Alonso gets the patience, he could build something at Chelsea. But I think the key word is patience there, because I think he's proved as to be a good coach. So I think that's a really good appointment for Chelsea.
Well, I think it goes hand in hand, because I feel like, sorry, Flexx, just because Chelsea got a lot of young players there, and I think he'll like whip them into shape. Alonso is not someone that you play with. That's a fact. From what I can see from his previous 2 roles at Madrid, fair enough, he had those egos that he had to deal with, but he wasn't exactly backing down. And that's why they said, one is either him or all their investments going. It was obviously going to be him. But I feel like with Chelsea, there's going to be a healthy level of respect. This is a World Cup winner, Champions League winner, serious footballer, technical midfielder. It was not that long ago that he finished playing football, so these players will know of him. And I think he'll get them players into shape, and he'll add some decent players as well. Chelsea still got Paul, regardless. They still got Paul.
This is the question. It's the decent players that they will add. That is the question. There's still players that need to be sold, but the business model kind of doesn't make sense. Hopefully that's something that changes, because at the end of the day, we need a goalkeeper. Our goalkeeper is terrible, as you guys all know. Then we also need a proper centre half. Levi Colwill coming back looks very sharp, so that's good. Still young. Then you've got Chalobah, who I like, again, but still young. We need someone who's very experienced to come in and marshal that defense, that back 5, that back 6.
Do you know who you miss? I think you missed Thiago Silva. I think he was really important for that Chelsea.
This is the point, right? This is the point. We need that experience in the team. I would say it's not about quality. It's about mentality and know-how, right? And there's been games across the season. I mean, we lost to Burnley at home. And that's just based on experience and naivety. So we need experienced centre midfielder. I'd say an experienced forward. Lewandowski is going to be available. Why not come over to the Premier League and come to Chelsea and end your career there? Just give us a 1 season. That's all we need, a 1 season with someone who can get us at least 15, 20 goals, just Premier League alone.
Well, you don't believe in Liam Delap no more? Or?
Nah, I never believed.
Nah, bro. He's a Carabao Cup appearance guy, bro.
He's not even that level. He's not even that level. He's a centre back playing up front. That's what he is. He just wants
that's your position.
Nah, that's not his position. I'm just saying.
You're just saying. Okay, cool.
He's that bad.
He's that bad. He just wants to grapple with people for no reason. It's like, dude, score a goal or something.
There was a match recently where he had a chance. He went down the wing and he didn't take on the player. He just stopped, went back, and all the fans was like, It was like his confidence is shot through the floor, man.
He is terrible. He is terrible. I mean, our only shining hope in that forward line this season was João Pedro.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, Estevan was good when he was there, but he got injured. Cole Palmer needs Nicholas Jackson. I mean, maybe Nicholas Jackson comes back and that helps things.
Oh, yeah, Nicholas Jackson.
Maybe
that might ignite Cole Palmer, because they had a great relationship.
Because Cole needs someone who's going to stretch defenders so that he gets the space to play.
Yeah.
Everyone else wants to play football. Yeah. That's the problem. So he doesn't have the space to operate in. So it becomes a bit difficult. But again, we'll see what Alonso does. It's his world now. Let's see what he brings to the table. But I'd like to add real quick. Isn't it interesting how a lot of these managers who are doing very well in football are all Spanish? Crazy, right?
Yeah, they're all midfielders as well.
Yeah, they're all midfielders.
Yeah.
You could go back to who we'll touch upon in a minute, but I think Areola's been fantastic for Bournemouth this year. And he's another one. But no, you're right. I think they're all Spanish and they're all midfielders. I think they just see the game differently. Spanish players just see the game in a completely different way to other people. But speaking of Spanish midfielders, Pep Guardiola, he's left Man City now. End of the game. I know they lost 2-1 at home to Aston Villa. It wasn't the exact way he wanted to bow out Man City. And I actually did a video about Pep's legacy I think last week, and just spoke about his achievements in football and how great he's done it in a 10-year period in the Premier League. I made my feelings known. I think he's probably in my opinion, the second greatest manager in Premier League history. for me. Look at his great achievements there. But how do you guys both look at his legacy in not just Premier League, but English football, or just football as a whole, really?
Look, man, I would say he's definitely one of the bright sparks, in Premier League history, I guess.
Yeah.
He's definitely one of the GOATs for sure. He's come in, changed the game, and he's doing very, very, very well. You know what I mean? So he's come in, was it 19 trophies in 10 years, something like that?
20 trophies in 10 years.
Man, that's a crazy stat. That is a crazy stat. So, mate, Pep.
You can't even argue about his achievements. I think it's easy to see what he's done. He won the treble with Man City. He got 100 points, first manager to get 100 points in the Premier League. Look at the brand of football he's brought to the Premier League. We've not seen anything like that at all. Probably part of the most exciting title races with Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp that we've seen in the Premier League era. There's so much that he's done for English football and football as a whole that you couldn't really argue against Pep's his greatness. Really, I mean, people do speak about the resources that he's had in order to gain the success, but at the same time, we've seen other managers who've had those same resources, but they've not really built it into anything substantial. But he's done that consistently on a 10-year period, because you can give someone all the pieces, right? But if they don't utilize them correctly, then there's no use for it. Whereas he almost was built like this sort of dynasty at Man City where they were almost sort of untouchable for 10 years. And United didn't get anywhere near City. They didn't get near them.
We say that, maybe because they're your neighbors, so you say United never got close to them, but literally nobody got close to them in that 10 years. That's just the type of dominance they've had. It's really just been them. And
that's my point, because if you look at the money that United have spent in comparison to when Pep's been at Man City, United spent loads of money on the various managers, but they were not even close to winning the Premier League or the Champions League. But if you've given Pep all these funds and these resources, he's gone in January and signed Gahey and Semenyo, and they've almost won the league. Do you know what I mean? So he's utilised the funds correctly, and that's the reason why they've been so good. But other managers like United, who've had various coaches, have had just as much to spend, but have not spent it correctly, and that's the reason why they're in the position they're in now. I
agree, man. I agree.
Yeah. So, Pepper, what's your thoughts on Pep's legacy in the Premier League?
I'm off mute. Yeah, sorry.
That's
right. I think Pep's legacy is a brilliant one. I think he's definitely second to Ferguson for sure. I question if he's changed football for the better, because obviously the standard of football at the moment is just
Ferguson.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I said that in my video.
Don't rage, baby, man.
Second to Ferguson is not bad though, by the way.
Seriously,
yeah, no, bro. But one thing you're not going to get me saying is Pep is better than Ferg.
Yeah. So what's the head-to-head between them anyway?
Yeah. Look.
Oh yeah.
We're classy fellas. Let's keep it.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's not descend into chaos. We're not Arsenal fans. Come on. What I will say is just catching strays out here. What I will say is that there is a question for Pep being the greatest Premier League manager. I don't think so personally. There was just something about Ferguson that was just fantastic in the way he done it with the academy players and whatnot. Yes, he had Foden, and he's brought in O'Reilly recently, and I think Lewis, but not to the level of what Fergie did. He literally changed the Premier League, in my opinion. Pep did the same. Sorry, just about his legacy. He has definitely revolutionized football. You've got to give him that, because now in England, everybody, all the way down to like Crew Alexandra in the National League or Division 2, they're all playing football on the floor. They're all trying to play attractive football. Do you understand?
Wouldn't you say then that's like he's had a bigger influence than Ferguson then?
Oh yeah, no, look. Don't listen again. Please don't rage, baby.
Sorry. He's right. No, Flexx right. He's had a bigger influence on English football, because if you're a manager and you can revolutionise how everyone plays, right, from the goalkeeper to the striker, then there's no argument.
No, he has. Rich, he has, but it doesn't mean that he's the greatest. For me, he's not the greatest.
No, I agree with you. I don't think he's the greatest. I think Ferguson managed in 3 different decades and won
from a pound for pound perspective, right?
I know, but that's a shorter period though, Flexx.
No. If we're taking the best of Fergie's 10 years and the best of Pep's 10 years, I'm just talking from a pound to pound perspective. That's how I'm looking at it. But hey, don't mind me. I know you guys as Man United guys.
No, it's not. Okay, so from 99. Okay, so from 99. So from 99.
I get it.
Listen, Flexx.
No, Richard, it's okay. Papa.
Yeah, how do we jump this guy?
So from the 10 years, right, from 99 until 2009, that period, You know, you could probably say that's probably United's greatest period. You could probably
So are we
say-
talking about?
Bear in mind.
Wait, are we talking about the
Flexx.
period where United were the only dominant force in the league and could buy any player they wanted in the league because they had the most money?
Sorry, what period was that? Early 90s.
Pep's on
Is
the
that the
same
period?
though.
Hey, but you know what? Don't mind me,
No,
man.
but Pep's
Yeah,
on the
let's
same
not
though.
mind you.
Essentially,
Don't
Pep's
mind
bought
me,
Semenyo and Gahey in January.
Yeah, but everyone else could have done that. That's my point. But the
Chelsea came through with
period
their own, man. What are you talking about?
Hey, you know what? It's a whole nother podcast for this.
Yeah, whole podcast, man.
Sorry.
For real. Listen, Pep didn't what did Ferguson do at least 3 times? Revolutionize what's the word I'm looking for?
Like
He built
really,
a new
player. Yeah. Obviously he got rid of a particular generation, brought in a new one, then done another one, done this 3 times. Pep obviously struggled to do that post the 4 titles that he won in a row. Once Liverpool came in and broke that, he wasn't able to kind of do it again, and you can see they were starting to fall off. So for me, in terms of greatest manager, you can't top Ferguson. I'm sorry, you just can't. But in terms of what Pep's legacy is for English football, he's definitely one of the greatest, if not the second greatest, in my opinion. I know there's going to be a lot of people that argue that. They're going to come with facts and the fact that Pep did beat Ferguson twice in the final. I can't argue that for sure. And also, Pep's Barcelona team, that team was made for Pep. That was ultimate Pep.
He made that team. You said it was made for Pep. He made the team. Come on, boys. Let's not do that.
But that's Barcelona.
He changed it. No, he's right. He got rid of Eto'o, Ronaldinho, Henry, and built a whole different team. That 2011 team is the best team I've ever seen.
But I said that I didn't necessarily think he had changed the English football for the better, right? So, and I mean just for the standard of the league.
Comments now, you Man United guys, backhanded comments you're making, huh?
What do you mean?
I'm saying it in your people's face. There's no backhand here, bro. It's just straight up here. I just said what I said. Come at me.
No, I think Pep's probably the most successful manager of all time. I think he's won the most trophies of all time.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Okay. I hear it.
So
I think his legacy. I mean, he's a brilliant manager, and he was when he was winning those trophies with Man City, no one was getting close. That's just a fact. I mean, even Liverpool pushed them all the way, and they still found the level to go above. They were serial winners, man. I have to give that to them. And I'm not even trying to disrespect Pep's legacy here. I'm just saying, in comparison to Ferguson, for me, Ferguson's going to be the greatest, whether you consider it bias or not. There was just the way football was played back then that was just completely brilliant. I don't necessarily like the way football is played now. It's not Pep's fault. Everyone just tried to compete with him. That's all it was. And they just did the BTEC level of what Pep was doing, basically. It just wasn't the same, essentially. And they're not carrying it out. And if everyone's trying to play that way, then naturally they're going to stifle each other. And that's why football games have become less entertaining and less free-flowing in England, in my opinion. So his legacy is brilliant for Manchester City. Yes, he's tried to get the Premier League to play more football. I just don't think it's our football, if I'm being honest. But that's just my opinion. So brilliant manager, serial winner. Definitely a Man City's best ever manager, without a doubt, and a Premier League great. But that's where I stop.
Yeah. Right, we'll wrap this up. Let's get to Mohamed Salah. No, he left Liverpool, bowed out today. They drew 1-1 to Brentford at home. And I think the talk before the game was Salah's comments regarding Liverpool and Arne Slot. Clearly, he's fallen out with Arne Slot, and it's just not been a great season for Mo Salah. How do you both, me and Flexx, we've spoken about Salah's legacy at Liverpool and just in the Premier League in general. Papa, how do you look at Salah's legacy, not just at Liverpool, but also in the Premier League as well? Where do you rank him in terms of the best African players in Premier League history?
Salah's legacy is brilliant. Fantastic. Without a doubt, probably the best African player. I know Drogba was great. Yaya Toure was fantastic as well, but he never had the numbers and assists that Salah's done it for a long period of time. Very long period of time. And even as he got older last season, where probably just towards like March, the crack started to show, he was still pulling in those numbers. It's only this season where it's kind of just flatlined completely. He looks heavier, slower, not as influential. But for the last 7 or 8 seasons, man, that guy's been fantastic. African player to come over, dealing with AFCON, coming back, still turning up for Liverpool, not dropping the levels. Brilliant on the right-hand side. They were showing some of his goals today when he was rapid and just quick with his feet. And, Klopp's team it was made for him. He was perfect for that for Klopp, and Klopp was perfect for him. And his legacy is certified. Sometimes I do feel like it's a bit controversial, but I'll say it anyway. I feel like they try not to. For me, he's better than Gerrard. Like, not better than Gerrard, sorry, but he should have based on his achievements and what he's done for Liverpool.
Yeah, he's more successful for sure, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But I just feel Liverpool, the Scousers or whatever, I don't think they're prepared to give it to an African. Maybe that's a conversation for another podcast, but I'll just drop that. I'll drop that here right now. But if you're asking,
I think Gerrard's loved it. I think everything he did, he stayed at the club when the club was going through its worst times, and
he was threatened. But that's a conversation again for another podcast. We all know
what happened. That's a big accusation. I didn't know that.
Oh, you did?
Well, do your research, Rich. Is there?
He said it. He's come out and said it himself.
He was threatened, bro. This guy was going to Chelsea. He was going to play for Mourinho.
Yeah, I knew he was linked to Chelsea. Yeah, but I didn't know he was threatened.
Scouse gangsters. Yeah, Liverpool, lovely people. They did what they had to do. But look, I'm not here to taint the podcast. I'm going to keep it professional. I'm just saying that Salah's legacy is a brilliant legacy as well. He's scored goals. He's won leagues, 3 Champions Leagues, 1 Champions League medal. Scored in Champions League finals. I think once. Sorry. Yeah, Salah. You can't argue Salah. Obviously this season, but it happens to every legend. The last season's kind of forgotten about, all the controversies, whatever. Thankfully, he got to go out and say bye to the Anfield faithful. But he's a Premier League great for sure. Just look at his goals, the goals that he scored, the assists. He started to be more influential with assists in the last couple of seasons as well. Some brilliant assists. And that counteracts when people were saying that he was selfish. So, yeah, I believe Salah's legacy is certainly secure. Even within Liverpool, even though I think he's better than Gerrard in terms of legacy status. But I know that the Liverpool fans will never agree to that. He's one of the greats.
Yeah, Liverpool fans, let us know in the comments. Do you agree with Pepper's comments that Gerrard's not as big as a legend as Salah? That's interesting.
Yeah, he's a big legend. Hold on, let me not kill myself here. Gerrard is a big legend. I just feel like Salah probably deserves the bigger status just for what he's done. That's just my opinion.
Interesting. Flex, how do you summarize Salah's legacy?
Hey, he's a Premier League legend. That's what I would go and say. I'll go as far and say he's a Premier League legend, not just a legend of Liverpool, but a legend of Premier League. And possibly by the time he wraps up his career, he'll be a legend of football. So especially at least on the continent of Africa, he will be recognized as such, and probably is the, minus George Weah, the greatest son Africa has produced in terms of football and achievements. So, yeah, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I agree with you both. I think he's a fantastic player. You've got to remember, he went to Chelsea as well. And it didn't work out for him at Chelsea. He had a tough time there. He was previously at Basel, then went to Roma, then came to Liverpool. And it's almost like he just transformed into a new player when he joined Liverpool in 2017. And like that first season, he was phenomenal. I remember they got to the Champions League final, didn't win that. In the league, was brilliant. But yeah, Salah's right up there with the very, very best African players, probably the best that the Premier League's ever seen. But before we wrap up, I want to talk about these 3 managers. Obviously, Keith Andrews, Regis Lebris, and obviously Antonio Areola, who've been fantastic this season. There's European football for Sunderland, and that's been amazing considering they've just come up to the Premier League and to get 7th place and to get European football. Amazing. Keith Andrews, I've mentioned him on the podcast a few times, and looking at Brentford, because when Thomas Frank left and they lost Wissa, they lost Mbuma, you're thinking the Brentford are in trouble here. I probably had them down for relegation at the start. But if you look at what Keith Andrews did, bringing in Thiago, getting that real togetherness in the team, the performances, I know they've missed out on European football this season, just about, but I think Keith deserves a lot of credit. And obviously Areola, I think he's gone, 17 games unbeaten now at Bournemouth. I think since Semenyo's left, he's not lost a game. And that is crazy, because when you look at Areola, when he first comes to Bournemouth, I think he came off the back of Gary O'Neill. And I think Areola didn't win a game for, 6 or 7 games, and didn't win a match. And there's a lot of pressure there from Bournemouth to maybe get rid of him. But they stuck with him, and you've seen the results, seen the rewards. Obviously, he's leaving at the end of the season. So, I think these 3 deserve a lot of credit this year, because you compete against the biggest clubs with the biggest budgets, but these 3 have proven what good coaches they are. Maybe Keith Andrews, maybe we might see next season. Is it a 1-season wonder? We don't know. But I think for the other 2, for what they've done in the circumstances, they deserve a lot of credit for their work this season.
Yeah, I agree. I think all three of them deserve credit. Keith Andrews surprised me. I remember him as a player. Was he playing for Brentford before and then became the coach there?
I think he's at Birmingham as well. I think at one point.
Yeah, I remember him as a player. I can't remember the club exactly, but I know he was a coach for Brentford under Frank's team. So I think he was like the throwing coach or whatever. I watched Brentford a bit today against Liverpool, and you know what? They don't play bad football because there was a lot of this. Their football was in the air, sort of route one-ish. And it was effective, but they can get the ball on the ground as well. The Sunderland manager, I can't pronounce his name. Is it Lecrae or something like that? I forgot what. Lebrie, yeah. They surprised me when I saw that they had qualified for Europa League. I was like, excuse me. They jumped out of nowhere to come and take that position, which is fantastic. And you know what? They've done really well. They've had a couple of games where they've been hammered. They had a strong home record up to a certain point. Then it just kind of got a bit shaky, but they'd already at that point, I think, secured their 40 points. So then it was just kind of like, where can we go from here? And they've done brilliant. Hopefully they can keep that up, and they're a Premier League club for me, so they need to be around. And obviously the Bournemouth manager, it's brilliant. I almost think it's a bit premature. He should have just stayed one more season while he got them into Europe, but maybe it is time for him to walk away and take on another challenge. I thought they would have had a stronger start to the season, because obviously when they played Liverpool,
I think the reason why maybe he's walking away because Brentford do sell their best players, right? I think they lost Kirkes last summer, they lost Semenyo. I think Alex Scott, he's been linked away with a move away. So to keep rebuilding your team for not a big budget, it's hard to do that, and that's probably
it makes sense. Makes sense. But all three of them definitely deserve a mention, man. They've made, the Premier League's become a lot more competitive. It's harder now. There's no guaranteed games where you could actually just win. There's no guaranteed 3-point games these days, you know what I mean? And those three have done a really good job. Keith Andrews really surprised me watching them against Liverpool today, and in previous games as well. They've really created problems. People going to Brentford are like, we've got to go Brentford now. That's not an easy 3 points, and Sunderland have done really well. And it does make the Premier League interesting. For all I said about Pep not making it for the better, the competitiveness has actually, obviously, more money for clubs as well. But that's brilliant. It makes me think of the NBA, where you don't know who's really going to win it season on season. Do you understand? And I like that. I like that, the fact that after, obviously, Arsenal, Man City, you've got this cluster of teams that are now fighting each other for Europe. These three managers have done really well. They've carried it, I guess average players or good players, not necessarily average, but good players, not world class. And they got them, particularly Bournemouth, man. They got their team playing, man. They play some good football, Bournemouth. It's tough to go down there to the south coast, windy. Them guys will have the ball on the floor, moving it around. Quick young players. Yeah, he's done a good job, the manager for Bournemouth, for sure.
Yeah, Junior Krupi and Ryan, boy, I feel like the summer window at Alex Scott as well. The summer window.
Too soon. They should stay. Do Europe one season with Bournemouth, then go. 100%.
No, man. When those big offers come from them big clubs, I mean. Oh.
And also the manager coming in from Red Bull, he got sacked actually. Rose or whatever his name is. He's not. Sorry, it's not that he's not good, but it's not a good sign when you were sacked from your last job and you're using a fantastic manager like this. You don't know how it's going to align. So maybe
I feel like one thing about Bournemouth, though, those are the clubs like them and Brighton. They always get the next manager correct.
They
always get the right character. Eddie Howe, obviously, and Gary O'Neill for a bit, and obviously Areola. Brighton's got Hertzler, who's done a really good job there at Brighton as well. They always seem to get the right person.
They do their research.
Exactly, the coach. So I think with their next move, they probably know who that's going to be already.
Yeah.
In that fact, it might not be a big name.
They got him. His name is Rose.
Okay, right.
He's from. I think he was the manager of RP Leipzig or
Leipzig. Okay, right.
Yeah, his name's something Rose anyway. But I know that he got sacked from the job earlier in the season, and he's not been in work since. And then they went for him. So we'll see. Maybe he might just be the right fit. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, all of them have done really well. The Sunderland manager, they play good football. Don't know any of their players, but they're playing well. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not renowned for me. No, I'm very happy for Xhaka because when he was at Arsenal, I was like, I'm sure this guy's more of an attacking player, and now I see all his technical abilities, and he's fantastic, man. Especially when he was at Leverkusen, very, very good, man. Just happened to be a bad time at Arsenal, so yeah.
Right, to finish off, guys, Flexx. We've got 3 new teams in the Premier League. We've got Coventry City, your guy Frank Lampard, Ipswich Town have come back up, and also we've got Hull City now who won the playoffs against Middlesbrough. So what do you both think, Flexx? I mean, do you think these teams are going to stay up, or is it going to be a challenge? Who do you predict to go straight back down again?
All of them.
That's exactly what I was going to say. They all going back, man. Cole ain't staying, that's for sure. They're coming for a holiday.
You never know, man. You never know. They could, if they get the right people in there in terms of signings, they could stay up.
Lampard's a championship manager, man. He's fantastic one, though. They're going back.
Yeah. They're all going back.
Yeah, that's how you got to learn, though. That's how they learn. You go back. Sometimes you get clubs like Sunderland who just get it right. They've got the right team behind them, but these three are going back, and they might have to do like what West Brom did for a bit, up, down, and then stay for a bit. But look where West Brom are anyway. So, they're going back, man. But it'll be nice to have them for a bit. They'll be the guaranteed 3-pointers for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, you never know. I think Kieran McKenna's back with Ipswich, so that could be interesting. But again, it'll be good to see how they get on. But listen, guys, it's been an hour of great football conversation. The season's over now, but the World Cup is around the corner, so we're looking forward to that. That should be very, very good and very interesting for sure. But we've got a podcast on that to come up quite soon. But guys, listen, as always, you can follow us on X, Instagram, and also now TikTok as well. So if you don't follow us on there, please give us a follow on those platforms. The handles will be in the descriptions down below as well. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for joining me today. Everyone else, thanks for watching, and please do like and subscribe on YouTube. The likes mean a lot, so please carry on doing that. And we will see you all in the next episode.
Okay.